welcome to the first session in the Full Stack Web Development playlist. Hope you are excited and pumped out. So, today I will give you a simple roadmap on where you are and where you should go next, and the tools you need to get started. If you are new to this channel, my name is Akash, and please do contribute to our channel by subscribing, liking and sharing it with your colleagues or friends. If you wanna know more about my channel, please watch the trailer in the channel. As this is your first course on becoming a web developer, so let me give you a simple roadmap on where you are and what should you perceive next. Every website has three parts: the front end, the back end and the database. But mostly database and the back end are mixed together and known as the back end. So basically or technically there are only two parts: the front end and the back end. If you visit a website, say Amazon or let's see Udemy for example, the buttons you see, for example a request a demo button, the categories button, the search bar, these all are components or front end parts. For example, if I click on this button called login, this connects to the server and further redirects to another web page. This feature or this backend work, this is called backend. So I hope you got a good understanding on what is the difference between backend and front end. Basically, web developers are classified into three types: the front-end developers, the back-end developers and the full-stack web developers. The front-end developers codes the front end of a website, that is, the part the user sees and interacts with. Next comes the back-end developers. Basically, these back-end developers work behind the scenes and building the maintaining the technology needed to power the front end, ensuring that everything the front-end developer builds is fully functional. So you don't like any Amazon buy now button to be not working, right? So backend is a vital function of a web developer. Next comes full stack developers. In other words, full stack developers are developers who are well versed in both front end and back end. So the three fundamental front-end technologies are HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So HTML means Hypertext Markup Language. It might sound daunting at first, but I am here to help you. Basically, HTML defines the components it needs to the browser. So if in case of an Amazon website, it says I want an image, I want a button, or I want a label over here, or I want a text field, etc. Later comes CSS. CSS means cascading spreadsheet. It just styles the components that HTML has asked before to the browser. So it does some styling stuff. Later comes JavaScript. JavaScript just adds functionality to the given things. So if you click on a button, it does some action. That action is programmed in JavaScript. If you take a simple example, the skeleton of our body is nothing but HTML. The clothes we wear are CSS. And if someone bites us or pinches us, we react to them and hit them, right? So that's reflex action in biology. But in technology, it is nothing but JavaScript. Now comes frameworks and libraries. CSS and JavaScript frameworks and libraries are used popularly in companies and startups. Almost every company or startup uses any kind of CSS or JavaScript framework or library. Now you might ask me a question: what is the requirement of a framework or library? We can build any website or web page in HTML, CSS or JavaScript. So the answer to it is that we cannot build every single feature of an app in scratch. as it takes more funding and even takes lot of time to finish that task. So if we use frameworks, all these repetitive tasks and even the base functionality of your app is done by the framework or library. We just have to add the main components or the main features to it. It reduces the time, effort, work and funding of the business or company. And even the amount of code developers write. Now you might ask me a question. There are many frameworks and libraries in JavaScript and CSS. What should I learn? So the answer to it is that I know that there are many frameworks and libraries in CSS such as Bootstrap, Tailwind CSS, Semantic UI, etc. But I recommend you to learn Bootstrap because Bootstrap provides responsiveness of a website inbuilt. If you don't know what responsiveness is, it is basically a feature of a website that it works in all kinds of devices, tablets, mobiles, laptops, computers, etc. Next comes JavaScript frameworks and libraries. I know here you have many opportunities such as Next.js, React, Angular, Vue, etc. But the reason I recommend you React is that React allows developers to create large web applications that can change data without reloading the page. The main purpose of React is to be fast, scalable and simple. It works only on user interfaces in the application. This corresponds to the view in the MVC template. If you are a beginner, I recommend you to follow this roadmap. Please take a screenshot to remember all the skills. I recommend you to learn TypeScript, Sass and any other CSS framework to boost your hiring speed. But as a beginner, you might be overwhelmed. But if you follow this tutorial, it will be all okay. You will become a full stack web developer in just 1 year of practice. Although it takes just 6 months to learn both the front end and back end, but it takes some practice to master it, right? I hope after seeing this video, you got a good perspective on how to become a front-end web developer, what skills to learn, and many more. But to become a full-stack web developer, you also need to be well-versed in the back-end also. I will try creating another video to explain you the roadmap for back-end development also. You must also learn version control, which I have not discussed in this video. Thank you. Hope you like my video. Please like, share and subscribe. Comment if you have any doubts.